Single Dad's heartwarming warning revealed unseen heroism. CEO's incredible gesture transforms community spirit. Jake stood at the kitchen counter, flour dust dancing in the sunlight filtering through the window. His hands were sticky from mixing dough, but his heart swelled with hope. 8-year-old Mia danced around him, a whirlwind of energy and creativity. With her vivid imagination, she transformed a simple Sunday afternoon into a canvas of colors. Today, their kitchen would be the epicenter of a bake sale meant to save her school's beloved arts program. "We can do this, Dad," she chirped, eyes sparkling. The weight of overdue bills settled on his shoulders, but Mia's enthusiasm was the balm he needed. He glanced at the flyer she brought home, tacked to their fridge like a bold declaration. "Help us save the arts," it shouted. A lump formed in his throat. The arts were not just lessons in creativity, they were lights of hope for kids like Mia. She dreamed of being an artist, and who was he to let her dreams fade? Ignited by her passion, Jake decided to rally the neighborhood. He crafted a heartfelt message and dropped it into every mailbox on Maple Street. He called on everyone, neighbors who had waved hello but never really connected, those whose lives seemed separate from his own. "Let us show Mia how much we care," he urged, his voice shaking with fervor. Little did he know, 5 miles away, Mark, the wealthy CEO of a tech firm, sat in his enormous office, blinds drawn tight. He was blind to the struggles below him. Books piled high with figures and graphs replaced any notions of human connection. Yet fate had plans that would intertwine their stories. That chilly afternoon, on an errand to the local grocery store, Jake and Mia bumped into Mark. Mia laughed, her voice ringing out. "Dad, look at this aisle. It's like candy heaven." She spotted a colorful display. With childlike delight, she told Mark about her dreams to paint and create. "I want to make art that makes people smile," she declared, a bright sunbeam on a cloudy day. Mark felt something he hadn't seen in years, a stirring of emotion long buried beneath the pressures of his world. After that unexpected meeting, he couldn't shake Mia's words. Inspired, he decided to match whatever funds the bake sale raised. But when news broke, mixed reactions swept through the community. Some celebrated, others whispered doubts. What's his real agenda? Tension crackled among neighbors. The very unity Jake had hoped to create was beginning to fracture, leaving him feeling helpless. "Hold on a second," Jake called out one evening in a meeting of frustrated voices. "We're all struggling here. Mark's support can uplift all of us. Let us not jump to conclusions." He felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, skepticism blooming like weeds. Doubts crept in. Could he really mend these fractured relationships? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days passed, and as the bake sale approached, Jake felt sheer desperation and resolve collide. Just when Jake thought efforts were futile, a connection between him and Mark emerged, family histories that danced around poverty and ambition, shadows stretching back into their pasts. Both men were grappling with their own battles, striking a poignant chord that could resonate throughout the community. As the bake sale day loomed, hope flickered amidst the chaos. Would they find common ground? Can real understanding shine through the fog of judgment? The air was thick with tension and possibility. Jake's heart raced. Could this be the moment they all needed to come together, or were they too divided to see the shared dream of a brighter future? Community bonds in crisis. The day of the bake sale dawned, and the crisp morning air felt electric with anticipation. Jake donned an apron plastered with flour stains, a badge of honor for the hours spent perfecting recipes alongside Mia. She busied herself in her corner of the kitchen, adorning cupcakes with swirls of rainbow frosting. Each swirl encapsulated her enthusiasm, and each sprinkle's pop added to the festivity of the moment. "Look at this, Dad," she beamed, holding a multicolored cupcake as if it were a trophy. It was hard to hold on to his worries when she wore that proud smile. "Looks incredible, Mia," Jake replied, his chest swelling with love and pride. But as he gazed out the kitchen window, doubt started to creep back in. What if no one showed up? What if the community didn't rally as he hoped? The sun glared down on the schoolyard where tables were being set up. Friends had promised to help, but would they truly come? The past week's whispers hung like curtains of uncertainty. As they arrived, familiar faces emerged, neighbors carrying trays stacked high with baked goods, laughter mingling with the scent of sugar and vanilla. It felt like an unspoken truce. Mark arrived late, sliding out of his car with an air of hesitation. Dressed in his sharp business attire, he was an imposing figure amidst the warmth of the neighborhood gathering. Jake felt his heart thump in his chest. Was this the moment judgment would flare again, or could he forge ahead for the sake of Mia? "Jake!" Mark called, his voice booming over the cheerful noise. "I brought, well, a little something." He revealed a large check. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I wanted to show I believe in this initiative. The arts matter." The reaction was mixed. Some people accepted the gesture with tentative smiles, others narrowed their eyes, unconvinced. Jake could see a trust lingering in the air like a wispy cloud. He had to act. "Everyone!" Jake raised his voice, grounding their attention. "This is a community effort. We are all here for the same reason, to support our kids and their dreams." His passion resonated, but the skepticism remained. "Let us focus on how we can use this to make a difference together. We're stronger united, not divided." Mia's tiny hand slipped into his. She looked up at him, her wide blue eyes filled with innocence and belief. "You can do this, Dad," she encouraged. Her faith ignited something deep within Jake, propelling him past his own fears. Just then, the trays started to fill up as children carried their creations toward the tables, brimming with delight. The guilt they felt about Mark's support began to slip away like morning fog. "Look!" Mia squealed, pointing to her cupcake stand where the bright colors drew the first customers in. While families started to gather, laughter replaced whispering. Mark leaned over to Jake, brushing aside the doubts lingering from the earlier conversations. "I'm in this for the long haul," he vowed, sincerity etched in his expression. And as the first cupcake was sold, Jake watched that simple act light up the faces lining up. A shift was unfolding, an opportunity to blend their stories into one. Amongst the chaos of gratitude and cheer, Jake's phone buzzed, drawing his attention. A message blinked brightly, new updates from the school board. Anxiety surged as he opened it, hoping for good news. But as he read it, fear tightened like a vice around his chest. Would this bake sale be enough? As the sounds of laughter and sweet conversations faded into the background, he was left standing at the nexus of hope and dread. Would they find a way to keep the arts alive, or was the struggle only just beginning? The heart of Maple Street was pulsing with energy, yet uncertainties loomed as shadows in the corners. This was only the prologue. What lay ahead could shake everything they believed in. Would his community rally, or would they splinter under pressure? Jake's heart raced as he read the update on his phone. The school board was cutting the fine arts program again. He felt the familiar sting of betrayal. The cupcakes, the laughter, the community vibe swirling around him, everything felt less certain now. He couldn't let this bake sale just be a last-ditch effort. It needed to be a changing point. "Dad?" Mia's voice broke through his thoughts. She tugged at his apron, her cupcake creations displayed proudly on the table before them. "Are you okay?" He managed a smile, kneeling down to her level. "I'm just thinking about all the wonderful things we can do, sweet pea. We're making a real difference today." "But what is it?" She frowned, picking up on his tension. It stung him to see her innocent joy dimmed by his worries. "It's nothing, really," he lied, ruffling her hair. He had to focus on them, on this moment. The kids were laughing, families were taking pictures, and cupcakes were flying off the tables. Yet, even amidst the sweet chaos, his mind kept drifting back to the email, to the cuts that could dismantle everything they were working for. Mark approached him, holding a fresh cupcake from Mia's stand. "Jake, I have an idea. What if we take this momentum and keep it alive? We could organize more community events, raise awareness beyond this bake sale." Jake's heart leaped. That could work. "You mean like monthly fairs or showcases?" "Exactly. We could invite local artists, bands, and food vendors. Show the school board that our kids' cultural education matters." Mark's enthusiasm was contagious, igniting a flicker of hope in Jake's chest. Mia chimed in, her voice bright. "We could have a cupcake decorating contest. And prizes. I'll help organize." The energy among them was rekindling. Jake could see that with each sold cupcake, there was a spark building, a chance to connect their struggles with their passion. "All right, let us do it. But we'll need everyone's help." As if in response, the crowd began to buzz louder and gather closer. Neighbors were whispering ideas, their initial skepticism melting away like frostbite under the sun. It felt electric. "Hey everyone!" Jake called out, raising his hands. The chatter quieted down. "This was just the beginning. We have a chance to keep this community spirit alive. Who's with us?" A rumble of approval spread through the crowd. "Yes. Let us do it," echoed back to him, filling him with joy. Mia squeezed his hand tightly, her excitement contagious as she beamed up at him. He looked around and saw familiar faces lighting up with renewed hope. This was about more than just cupcakes. It was about reclaiming their community. As they rallied together, Jake felt lighter as hope intertwined with anxiety. The crowd stood as a fortress around him. But beneath it all lay that underlying fear: the school board's decisions weren't just numbers or emails. For these families, it meant futures. Just as Jake started to relax, another buzz from his phone broke through the noise. It was another message from the school board. Jake hesitated, dread creeping back into his mind. The one thing he feared most was staring him in the face again. Could they really mobilize the community strong enough to change minds? Or were they just postponing the inevitable? He inhaled deeply, turning back to the enthusiastically rallying crowd. Maybe, just maybe, today was a chance to fight. Yet as he stood there, a sense of urgency gripped him. Would they truly stand their ground, or would the arts be silenced forever? The answer loomed ahead, filled with potential but shadowed by doubt. The noise of the bake sale surged as the crowd seemed to rally around Jake, an ever-expanding sea of hope. He looked at the faces illuminated by excitement, the laughter of the children swirling above the chatter like music. He felt that flicker of connection between them all, bound by the love for creativity. It was then that a thought struck him: what if he turned his fears into something actionable? "All right, everybody." Jake raised his voice with renewed vigor, drawing the crowd's attention. "I think we've got something special here. We won't just stop at this bake sale. Let us start planning for something bigger." Murmurs spread among the people, intrigued. He took a deep breath, the kind that filled his lungs with determination. "I'm thinking we organize a Save the Arts festival. We can raise funds, gather support, and show the school board we mean business." Mia jumped up, her eyes sparkling. "And I can make more cupcakes. Bigger ones. Maybe with sprinkles." Jake chuckled, his heart swelling with pride for her. Seeing her joy reassured him that this was about more than just saving a program. It was about lighting a fire in their community. "Yes. Sprinkles will definitely be a hit." Mark clapped Jake on the back, his enthusiasm infectious. "Let us announce it right now. Get everyone on board." Jake nodded, energized. They needed this more than ever. He called out again. "We'll need volunteers. Anyone who can help with planning, organizing, come see me after the sale. This is just the beginning of what we can do together." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Jake watched in awe as people started to step forward, eager to contribute. Some offered their skills, musicians ready to perform, artists willing to showcase their work, chefs excited to join them. There was a growing sense of ownership, a collective energy pulsing through the crowd. They wanted to be part of this change. Yet, as he exchanged ideas with enthusiastic neighbors, Jake couldn't shake the anxiety gnawing at him. In the back of his mind, the school board's decision echoed louder. The more they rallied, the more he felt the pressure of their expectations. What if it wasn't enough? As if reading his thoughts, Mia tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, when are we going to have fun time?" Her naive question cut through his worries, reminding him why he was fighting. "Right after this, sweetheart. Once we show them how much we care," he said, forcing a smile. But her question lingered. Was he doing enough to reassure her? The sun dipped lower in the afternoon sky, casting a warm glow on the gathering. Families filtered in and out, the scent of vanilla and cocoa filling the air. Jake caught sight of Mrs. Davenport, the elderly lady from next door, sitting near their stand. She wore a traditional apron and meticulously decorated cupcakes, placing the final touches as if each one was a work of art. "Those look amazing, Mrs. Davenport!" Jake shouted, his heart lifting momentarily with her joyful effort. "Just like it was when I was a girl. The arts defined us, Jake. We can't let them go without a fight," she answered, her eyes gleaming with wisdom. Her steadfastness became another brick in the wall of Jake's resolve. As more cupcakes vanished, the day morphed beautifully into a celebration of their community spirit. Just as he was beginning to feel the warmth of camaraderie, another buzz from his phone turned his stomach again. He struggled to focus on the laughter around him. He swiped the screen, bracing himself for more bad news, but instead, he was met with an unexpected twist: an email from a local business owner expressing their interest in sponsoring the upcoming festival. The glimmer of hope flashed in Jake's heart, but was quickly overshadowed by doubt. Could they really pull this off? Could the community really come together to stand against the looming threat? Anxiety twisted in his gut, but he fought it down. This was their chance. He looked at Mia, who was off laughing with friends, oblivious to the storm brewing above. "All right," he whispered to himself, "this is our moment." But beyond the hope, shadows lingered. What if they failed? What kind of message would it send to Mia? Just when he was about to drown in those thoughts, Mark waved from across the tent, beckoning Jake over. "Check this out," Mark called enthusiastically, excitement bubbling in his voice. Jake's heart raced anew. Was this the breakthrough they needed? Or was it just another distraction from the reality they faced? With a mix of hope and uncertainty, he stepped forward, ready to confront whatever surprise awaited him. Jake hurried over to where Mark stood, his mind racing with possibilities. The crowd around him buzzed with energy, his heart pounding with each step. Mark had a way of igniting excitement, and today, Jake desperately needed that spark. "What's going on?" Jake asked, his curiosity piqued. Mark gestured as if revealing a grand secret. In his hands he held a thick brochure, glossy and vibrant. "This came in through the community center. It's a grant opportunity. We might qualify if we can show how this festival will benefit local youth and the arts in our area." Jake felt a rush of hope. A grant could mean more resources, more publicity, and more momentum. His fingers trembled slightly as he took the brochure, the colorful images of past festivals jumping out at him. He scanned the details, his heart quickening with each line. "This could really help us, Mark. If we submit a strong proposal, we have a shot." "Exactly. We've got to gather the best ideas and present a strong case. This could put us on the map." Mark's eyes twinkled with determination, reflecting the energy building in Jake's chest. As the sun continued to dip lower, casting long shadows across the bustling crowd, Jake felt a blend of excitement and pressure gathering around him. "We need to get everyone involved," he said, a spark igniting in his voice. "If we can unite our neighbors, we can make a powerful statement." Just then, Mia ran up, her cheeks flushed with joy. She held out a paper plate piled high with half-eaten cupcakes. "Look, Dad! I'm helping! I told them sprinkles are the magic ingredient." She giggled, her laughter ringing out like the sweetest melody. Jake grinned, kneeling to her level. "You absolutely are, honey. Each cupcake you make brings us closer to saving the arts." But that familiar knot of doubt tugged at him again. They needed more than just enthusiasm. They needed real commitment, and Jake was still unsure if everyone would rally as needed. How about this? Let us get some volunteers together to brainstorm ideas tonight, and we can work on the grand proposal together. Mia's eyes grew wide. Can we make more cupcakes too? Definitely. Jake laughed, ruffling her hair. Cupcakes and creativity, a perfect combo. He turned back to Mark, who was already pulling out his phone. Let us set up a meeting at my place. We'll make a list of everyone who can help, and we'll draft that proposal. As Jake looked around the tent, he saw Mrs. Davenport still working diligently on her creations, and a group of teens passing out flyers for the festival, their energy contagious. It reminded him that they weren't alone in this fight. Their community was rising in unexpected ways. Just when he felt the fatigue settling in, an unexpected guest arrived. The mayor of the town, someone Jake only saw on posters, approached their stand, a broad smile on his face. I've heard about your plans. The town is proud of these initiatives. How can I help? His presence sent ripples of excitement through the crowd. Jake's heart surged as possibilities unfolded. This could elevate their project. This could show the school board their potential. But with each moment of hope, those shadows of doubt returned. Sure, they had the energy and now the mayor's backing, but would it be enough? As the festival buzzed around him, a sinking apprehension nagged at his gut. What if this moment was a fleeting dream, bright and beautiful, only to collapse when reality set in? Just then, Mark leaned in, voice low yet urgent. Jake, don't just think about the festival. Think about what it means for Mia. What if this festival inspires other kids too? What if they see it and want to keep the arts alive? Jake swallowed hard, realization washing over him. This wasn't just about art programs. It was about instilling hope in their children's hearts. It was about creating stories that could last beyond their community, stories that could be told generations from now. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting shades of orange and purple across the sky, he took a deep breath. You're right, Mark. We've got to do this not just for us, but for every kid who needs creativity in their life. Mark nodded, determination radiating from him. They had to harness this momentum. Jake squared his shoulders and shouted above the crowd, Everyone! Let us come together to save the arts! As cheers erupted around him, he lifted his eyes, seeing all those faces lit with hope. But there was still that intense pressure, that fear lurking. What if their best efforts fell short? Just as Jake felt reality creeping back in, a child came up beside him, holding a small drawing of the festival. This is for you, Mr. Jake. I can't wait. Jake's heart swelled. Could they really change everything that night? He turned to Mark, determination flickering in his eyes. Let us make sure we put forward our best ideas. But as he glanced at the crowd once more, he noticed a shadow in the corner of the tent. The school board president. Or was his presence a warning? Was he there to undermine everything they built? Jake's thoughts spiraled into uncertainty, but he steeled himself as the night unfolded. The real battle was just beginning. What awaited him next? The gathering buzzed with excitement, laughter, and the sweet scent of frosting. Jake's heart raced as he locked eyes with the school board president, who was now scanning the scene, arms crossed. There was a heavy air of tension that prickled at the back of Jake's neck. Stay calm, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. He tried to shake off the unease while reminding everyone, tonight is about hope. Mark was already on a roll, enthusiastically rallying nearby parents. Meet us at Jake's place at 8. We need your ideas. The energy in the air was infectious, but Jake's focus remained glued on that imposing figure across the tent. What if he's here to shut us down? Jake muttered under his breath to Mia. She was blissfully unaware, too busy waving a bright glitter wand she had picked up from a nearby craft table. Dad, just let him see all the fun we're having. Mia grinned, unfazed by the shadow that loomed too nearby for Jake's comfort. She pulled him toward the cupcake station, her laughter bubbling over as she pointed out the colorful sprinkles. Taking a deep breath, Jake forced himself to concentrate on the moment. Families were laughing, children were drawing, and the spirit of creativity was flowing. You're right, honey, he said, squeezing her tiny hand. Let us show everyone what we can do together. With renewed determination, he strode over to the tables, greeting neighbors and encouraging volunteers. Let us take this festival to the next level, he called, feeling that familiar thrill rising again. Just then, Mark returned, animatedly recounting funny tales from past festivals, and soon laughter erupted once more. The crowd swelled, and Jake could feel the excitement blossom in the air. Mia, help me with these flyers, Jake said, snatching a stack of brightly colored paper. He handed them to her. We need to get the word out. Mia beamed, her youthful enthusiasm contagious. Okay. This'll be the best festival ever. The energy was palpable, yet Jake couldn't ignore the knot in his stomach as he caught the school board president stealing glances over at them. What is he thinking? Jake wondered. He had seen him cross out community arts budgets before. A shiver ran down his spine, but he brushed it off. They couldn't lose momentum now. Suddenly, Mrs. Davenport approached, her styled hair curling in the breeze, beaming with pride. Jake, dear, everyone is so impressed with what you're doing. Let us make sure they see how much this means for our kids. Her kind words helped ease his worry for a moment. Their small-town community had always rallied behind one another, but the stakes felt higher this time. Jake nodded, gratitude swelling within him. Thank you, Mrs. D. We really need that support. Every bit counts. Just then, a rush of voices swelled from the crowd. Mia ran back with her friends, grasping handmade signs, squealing with glee. Dad! Look! We made these! Jake's heart swelled as he watched Mia and her friends proudly display their artwork, vibrant colors and handwritten phrases like "Arts Matter" and "Save our festival." A wave of hope washed over him. Maybe, just maybe, they could pull this off. Mark joined them, his excitement infectious. See? This is what it's all about. Kids believing in their community. Jake couldn't help but smile, but his eyes flickered back to the school board president. The atmosphere, once filled with gaiety, now seemed clouded by uncertainty as the man was approaching them. What does he want? Jake whispered to Mark, anxiety creeping back in. But before Mark could respond, the president cleared his throat, drawing attention. Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention? The festive laughter faded to quiet murmurs. Jake's heart raced again as he prepared for what felt like an impending storm. In that instant, a child reached for Jake's hand, squeezing it. Don't worry, Mr. Jake. It's gonna be fine. Would it really be fine when the hardest part was yet to come? As the president began to speak, Jake wondered what news he was about to deliver. Was this the moment their dreams would either soar or shatter? Would they truly have the chance to fight for the arts, or was there something darker lurking in the school board president's words? Jake held his breath as the school board president stepped forward. The man's expression was hard to decipher, stern yet possibly contemplative. The crowd was silently waiting, some leaning in, eyes wide, anticipation buzzing like electric energy. Thank you all for the incredible work you're doing here tonight, he began, his voice surprisingly steady, though Jake sensed an underlying tension. Events like these remind us how important community is. However, Jake's heart sank at the word. He felt a collective inhale from the crowd, panic rippling beneath the hope they had built. Mia squeezed his hand tighter. I want to address the future of school programs concerning the arts. Trust me, these discussions are never easy. But, as you may know, our budget is tight. The president paused. A frown spread across many faces. Jake's pulse raced while he glanced at Mark, who wore an expression of grim determination. They had fought for too long. The optimism that had reigned a moment ago felt fragile, hanging by a thin thread. Our goal is not to eliminate the arts, the president continued, but to find a way to make it more sustainable. We're considering partnerships with local businesses to fund community projects. Confusion and curiosity rippled through the audience. Kids knitted their brows, unsure of what that meant. The words partnership and funding opened a window of possibility, yet Jake remained guarded. He wanted to believe. Tonight, I'm here to offer an invitation, the president stated, voice growing stronger with commitment. I would like to meet with our local businesses and community leaders to discuss ways we can keep our arts programs thriving without adding financial strain. I believe together, we can create something remarkable." A murmur sparked among the audience, drifting from disbelief to cautious excitement. Mia's eyes lit up. "See, Dad? It's good." She jumped up and down, excitedly waving her sign that proclaimed "Together we thrive." Jake felt the hope swell in his chest, battling the skepticism still brewing in the back of his mind. Was it genuine? Could this be their chance? Mark stepped forward, voice firm. "So what you're saying is you're actually willing to partner with us instead of cutting more programs?" The school board president nodded. "I understand the challenges. My role is to find solutions. If we can come together, I believe we can allocate funds to not just save the festival but enrich all our art programs." The crowd exploded into a wave of chatter and cheers, but Jake remained rooted, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Optimism surged within him, nudged by Mia's wide smile. "Let us make sure our voices are heard," Mark hollered, rallying the crowd again, igniting excitement with every word. Jake's heart swelled as people rallied around, fists in the air, ready to fight for something they valued. This was the spirit of community he had always believed in, yet, a solitary whisper of doubt flickered in the back of his mind. Was the promise genuine? Was this a shift in direction or just a clever distraction? As Mia pulled him in for a hug, Jake felt a mixture of pride and worry. "We can do it, Dad. We can save the arts." "Yes, we can, sweet girl," he replied, hugging her tightly. But as his eyes scanned the jubilant faces, he could feel that knot still simmering. He knew this was just the beginning. They had a long way to go. With their hearts on their sleeves and voices rising, Jake turned to Mark, determination shifting back into focus. "Let us get to work on a plan. We'll show them what our community is capable of." But even as he said the words, the unease gnawed at him. What if the school board president had motives that remained hidden? As the crowd cheered and brainstormed ideas for their newly brightened future, Jake stood apart momentarily, taking in the scene. Hope and fear intertwined, painting a vivid contrasting picture. Little did he know that the unveiling of the truth was about to change everything. The next morning, the biggest test of his resolve would arise. Would their unity withstand the secrets yet to unfold? Jake woke up the next morning with a nagging heaviness in his stomach. The excitement from last night's meeting felt like a distant echo as the reality of what lay ahead sank in. The sun filtered through the window, casting a warm glow on Mia's sleeping face. He wanted to preserve that innocence, the untainted joy she embodied, but the weight of their situation loomed over him like dark clouds threatening rain. He quickly showered and made breakfast, the smell of eggs filling the small kitchen. Mia bounced in, her hair a wild mess, eyes bright with uncontained enthusiasm. "Dad! Today's the day! We can start planning!" she exclaimed, her voice bubbling over with the kind of energy only children possess. "Yeah," Jake replied, forcing a smile. "Just remember, we need to be prepared for whatever comes next." He met her gaze and tried to sound encouraging, but a shadow loomed in his mind. After breakfast, they walked to the community center where the meeting with local business owners was set to take place. As they approached the modest brick building, it felt like entering a courtroom, where the community was on trial. Would they prove their worth? Inside, people gathered, faces ranging from excited to weary. Among them was Mark, shaking hands, rallying support. The air was thick with anticipation, each person holding on to the belief that their voice mattered. "Thanks for coming, everyone," Mark called out, signaling for attention. "Today marks the beginning of a charge, an opportunity to forge partnerships that could save our arts programs." Cheers erupted, filling the room with hope, but Jake remained a silent observer. As Mark introduced the school board president, the same uncertainty from the previous night welled within him. Could he really be trusted? Was there a catch to these so-called partnerships? The school board president looked more at ease this time. "I appreciate your passion," he began, glancing over the crowd as if assessing its true feelings. "I'm optimistic we can create a program that works for both the community and the school district." But Jake couldn't help but notice the hesitance in his eyes, a flicker of something darker behind the bright message. As the discussion flowed, each business leader shared their visions, speaking of sponsorships and collaborations, fundraising events and art shows. Excitement bubbled up again. Mia waved her hands, her vibrant spirit drawing others in. They were beginning to see the possibilities. However, amid the enthusiasm, Jake's instincts warned him. During a brief break, he pulled Mark aside and whispered, "What if this is just a show? What if they don't actually plan to follow through?" Mark looked at him, eyebrows furrowing. "We can't think that way, Jake. They're giving us a chance. We need to play our part." Jake nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. How long had they been working only to encounter another obstacle? Just as his mind spiraled deeper, a woman strode into the room, radiating confidence. The CEO of a successful local business, she stepped forward, capturing everyone's attention. "Hello, everyone. I've been listening and I'm inspired by what you're doing. I'd like to make a commitment right now." As she spoke, Jake could feel a shift in the room. Stomach nodding, he leaned in closer. Could her involvement be the answer, or would it lead them down another misguided path? When she revealed her intent to provide significant funding and resources, excitement swelled once more, cheers erupting, but Jake hesitated. Why was someone with power offering their hand? "Let us not rush into this," he murmured to Mark, frustration boiling over. Mark shot him a look as if to say, "You're missing the bigger picture." But Jake couldn't shake the foreboding feeling that something wasn't right. He had to dig deeper. As the meeting continued, the more his mind raced with questions. Afterward, as Mia bounced with joy, Jake felt torn. "I'll be right back," he told her, stepping outside. He needed air and a moment to clear his head. As he paused, looking up at the sky, he felt a constant tug below, the need to protect Mia, to shield her from disappointment. He needed to know the truth, even if it meant uncovering secrets that others wanted to stay hidden. With renewed determination, he re-entered the building, intent on finding answers. What lay beneath the surface would ultimately decide everything they had fought for. But little did he know, the truth he sought was closer than he realized, and its revelation could change the game entirely. Jake stepped back into the community center, the buzz of optimism washing over him. He scanned the room, ensuring his daughter was engaged with the laughter and chatter surrounding her. But he felt far removed from the collective joy. The air was electrifying, yet his heart thudded heavily, reminding him of the responsibilities resting on his shoulders. He moved through clusters of people, absorbing fragments of conversations that blended into a single hopeful murmur. Each voice carried a hint of excitement, promises of what could be. But in the depths of his mind, a shadow lingered, a need to know whether that excitement was genuine or simply a facade. "Jake!" A voice broke through his thoughts. It was Mark, waving him over. "You gotta meet Sarah." She asked, the one with the funding proposal. Mark's face radiated enthusiasm, but Jake approached cautiously. "Hey, Sarah," he said, forcing his lips into a smile. The woman stood tall, her confident demeanor almost overwhelming. He could feel the energy radiating from her as she extended her hand. "I've been hearing so much about your community efforts, Jake," she said, her voice smooth and inviting. "I truly believe we can do great things together." He studied her, looking for cracks in her polished demeanor. "And what's your angle? Why are you interested in helping us?" Her expression faltered for just a moment, replaced quickly with a bright smile. "This community means a lot to my company. We have to give back, don't we?" Jake nodded but felt a nagging doubt. "It's just promises are easy. Actions speak louder." Sarah's eyes narrowed a fraction, then softened again. "I get that. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in the cause. You'll see." As she talked, Mia interjected, her laughter catching everyone's attention. "Dad, can we go to the park after this?" Her joy was infectious, and he couldn't help but smile down at her, even amidst his worry. "Of course, sweetie," Jake said, though his mind remained focused on Sarah and the deal they were discussing. Moments later, as the meeting continued, Jake felt his resolve strengthen. He approached Mark again, frustration bubbling inside. Mark, you really trust her? Why wouldn't I? Mark replied, bewildered. She's offering us a lifeline. We need to leap for it. It just feels off, Jake confessed, clenching his fists. This could be more than just funding. We can't overlook the implications. Suddenly, the room started to shift again. The atmosphere grew tense. A small group of business owners began escalating a conversation, voices rising in concern over the school board's intentions. Jake felt it like electricity in the air. What's happening? He asked Mark, who looked equally alarmed. Let us find out. They moved closer. The arguments being tossed back and forth were laced with skepticism about the school board's true commitment. Whispers of betrayal circulated, painting shadows on the bright promises previously laid out. Jake could see the worry on the faces around him. Mia's cheerful smile faltered, eyes darting between the adults. He wanted to reach out, to shield her from the disappointment that began to seep into the room. Suddenly, Jake made a decision. I'm going to speak. We need clarity, something concrete. He pushed through the crowd, standing up with a sudden fire in his chest. I think it's time we demand honesty from our leaders. If we're diving into this, we need to know every detail. No more vague commitments. The room grew silent. All eyes turned to him, anticipation hovering thickly. Mark's look was questioning, but Jake kept going. If we're going to build a foundation for our children, the truth is what we need, no empty promises. And just as Jake finished, the back doors swung open, revealing someone he hadn't expected to see, a former teacher, beloved by many but who had been marginalized by the system. The crowd buzzed again, charged with surprise and curiosity. Can I address the group? She asked. Jake felt another jolt of apprehension. What did she know? What truths were about to come to light? He met Mark's eyes, uncertainty reflected back. Together, they shared a moment of decision. This could change everything. As the former teacher stepped forward into the spotlight, Jake held his breath. What if the answers they were about to hear would shift their entire understanding of the path ahead? The former teacher cleared her throat, a mixture of nerves and certainty framing her voice. Thank you all for letting me address you today. It's important we have this conversation. The crowd settled, a hush of anticipation enveloping the room. Jake felt a ripple of unease. Could she be there to support or sabotage their efforts? I've heard the discussions among local businesses and the school board. I recognize that many of you are hopeful about the potential for partnerships, she began, gauging the audience with her warm brown eyes. But I can't stand by without sharing what I know about the board's intentions. For years, they've been downgrading our arts programs. I fear this might just be another hollow initiative. Gasps echoed in the room. Jake felt his heart race, adrenaline kicking in. This could be the truth he'd been searching for, or a catalyst for all their hopes to tumble down like a house of cards. If we go down this path without fully understanding the stakes, we risk leaving our community weaker than before, she cautioned, her gaze moving from face to face. We have to ask ourselves, are we working together towards truly sustainable practices? Or are we merely providing a stopgap for a bigger issue? Mark stepped forward, voice heavy with determination. Then let us collaborate to get to the bottom of this. Let us demand transparency. If they don't commit to supporting the community genuinely, we walk away and seek alternatives. The crowd erupted into murmurs of agreement, emboldened by his words. Jake felt the spark ignite. Exactly. We have power here. It's time we share our voices and stand up for our children's dreams. Every child should have the opportunity to pursue their passion. The crowd cheered, children's laughter intertwining with the roar of adults, creating a vibrant tapestry of hope and determination. Mia's tiny hand slipped into his again. He looked down, seeing the blissful smile stretched across her face, urging him onward. Let us fight for our dreams, Dad, she urged, her innocence and conviction pushing him forward. With renewed vigor, Jake stood tall among the crowd, heart in unison with the growing collective spirit. Enough of empty promises. We want the school board to invest in our children not just for a season but for the future. We'll gather support beyond this room. Let us push for community-wide engagement, form coalitions with stronger voices. Together, we're unstoppable. As cheers rose again, the atmosphere crackled with energy, the electricity of transformation felt palpable. Local businessmen, parents, and kids of all ages joined in, each eager to extend their hand for action. But amidst the rising emotions, Jake noticed Sarah slip away, a flicker of hesitation in her otherwise composed demeanor. His instincts shouted at him. "Mark, I'm going to have a word with her. We need to dissect her intentions." "Be careful, Jake," Mark warned, his brow furrowed with concern. Determined, he pushed past the crowd, following Sarah into an adjacent hallway where the noise faded to a dull roar. "Sarah?" he called, urgency lacing his tone. Her face showed surprise, then quickly morphed into a professional mask. "What can I do for you, Jake?" "I need to know what this really is," he said, his heart hammering in his chest. "You waltz in with your grand proposal, but what's your angle? Why the sudden interest in our community?" "I care about the arts, Jake. My company has the means to help." "I want to help," she said, eyes glinting with intensity. "Just help?" he pressed, searching for cracks in her mask. "You weren't around when we needed a voice. Why now?" The corners of her mouth twitched, her confidence wavering for just a moment. "Because things are changing. I see a future where we can harness both business and creativity. If we can bridge this gap, we can make lasting impacts, not just temporary band-aids." "Just make sure you're not here to exploit us," he warned, feeling the stakes climb higher. "We're not interested in a pretty picture if it comes with strings attached." She nodded, shadows passing momentarily across her face. "I understand. I truly do want to see our kids thrive." Jake felt a jolt of victory alongside uncertainty. Maybe she could be part of the solution, but he wouldn't let his guard down too soon. "I'll be watching, then," he said firmly, returning to the crowd, feeling more grounded. As he walked back, the excitement was invigorating. Families were buzzing with ideas, unabashed enthusiasm flowing through them all. Hope filled the air, but Jake still grappled with the fear of what awaited. Would they really rally together enough to effect change? They moved through the planning stages leading into the days after, every conversation filled with ideas, creativity, and passion. Neighbors banded together, pooling resources, promising to attend the meetings that would add weight to their arguments and unite their voices against any plans that threatened the heart of their community. Then came the day of reckoning. With the festival approaching, everything seemed poised for success. But in the back of Jake's mind, rumors circulated through the community like wildfire, a divide threatening to fracture their momentum. The school board meeting arrived, every face in the room reflecting zeal and anxiety. All eyes turned toward Jake as he prepared to present the collective vision they had crafted. Yet, throughout the evening, tension brewed. His confrontation with the board president loomed large, and he had to remain confident, the weight of every family's hope resting on him. With one deep breath, he stepped up to the table, his heart roaring with purpose. Belief reverberated through him as he locked eyes with Mia, who watched, faith in every blink. "Tonight," he began, "we come not just as individuals but as families, as a community. We believe in the arts concepts that go beyond the classroom. They mold our kids' futures, shape who they become, and bridge us to each other." The crowd rallied behind him, their sentiments fueling his conviction. "Together, we're more than just voices, we're a force for change. This isn't merely about cupcakes or festivals, this is about the soul of our community, the right for every child to explore their passions." As applause erupted around him, the room echoed with cheers, some rising in emotional tears, the spirit of togetherness pulsing stronger than ever. But just as hope reached its apex, the school board president stood, casting a shadow over the bright light Jake had ignited. "While we hear your passion," he said slowly, "we also have limitations. Funding is scarce, and as a board, we must balance many interests." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jake's heart plummeted with dread. Were they truly at the mercy of numbers and politics? But before despair could settle in, Jake pressed forward. "You're right about budgets, but when we act as a community, we demonstrate our worth. Look around you, every face here represents hope. We refuse to let our children's futures hinge on a budget line. The school board president hesitated, caught off guard by the unwavering passion pulsating through the crowd. Muffled whispers floated, and slowly, clarity returned to the room as they began to see the vision. With his heart pounding tighter, Jake continued, "We've rallied not just to fight for the arts but to channel our energy toward change. Let us explore this partnership with your board's help. We can launch initiatives to gather funds from businesses, involve the community, and truly revitalize our programs." As cheers erupted in response, the school board president took a moment, gauging the atmosphere. Perhaps the walls of rigid bureaucracy were beginning to soften, just a little. "Together may be the key. Let us explore this further," he revealed, and Jake felt a rush of momentum carry through the hall. Victory didn't feel far away, yet Jake remained grateful for the battle that lay ahead. An unwavering commitment bound the community, but the wolf in sheep's clothing still lingered in the back of his mind. As they stood united, hands clasped and hearts alight, he turned again to Mia, who beamed proudly. Together they had built bridges of hope woven intricately through their passions, and in that moment, Jake realized it wasn't just about the arts program anymore. It was about the resolute spirit of family and community. As tears of joy streamed down cheeks and hands raised high in solidarity, he saw it crystal clear: they were on the edge of something beautiful. With a surge of determination, he knew they could forge a new beginning, not just for one festival, but for every heartbeat within Maple Street. Clean, vibrant, and alive with creativity. In that unity, Jake found his answer. Facing challenges together could propel them all into a future painted with dreams brighter than any canvas. And as they left the community center, hope soared higher than it ever had, a timeless tether forged by courage, trust, and love for the arts. Now was the moment to embrace action and prove to every child that their dreams mattered. As they stepped into the light, hearts swelled with determination, forging ahead to build a legacy that would resonate long after the dust of the festival settled. Jake glanced at Mia, radiant and full of potential. "We did this together," he whispered, knowing they were far from done. "Let us keep this spirit alive." And they would, because together, they were unstoppable. Now, as the story unfolds, it's time for you to become part of our vibrant community. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you never miss the next exclusive stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and fuel our journey forward. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting our channel through these actions. Let's keep creating waves together.